بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حميم تنزيل الكتاب من الله العزيز العليم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب شديد العقاب ذي الطول لا إله إلا هو إليه المصير.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We'll continue with Surah Ghafir and ayah number 17. Ayah number 17 and then the 3 verses afterwards inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Ayah 16 actually. يوم هم بارزون لا يخفى على الله منهم شيء لمن الملك اليوم لله الواحد القهار اليوم تجزى كل نفس بما كسبت لا ظلم اليوم إن الله سريع الحساب وأنذرهم يوم الآزفة إذ القلوب لدى الحناجر كاظمين ما للظالمين من حميم ولا شفيع يطاع يعلم خائنة الأعين وما تخفي الصدور والله يقضي بالحق والذين يدعون من دونه لا يقضون بشيء إن الله هو السميع البصير يوم هم بارزون لا يخفى على الله منهم شيء لمن الملك اليوم لله الواحد القهار, which means the day they come forth nothing concerning them will be concealed from Allah, to whom belongs all sovereignty this day, to Allah the one, the prevailing. So continuing with these verses that talks about the day of judgment and the affairs of the believers and the disbelievers and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would address humanity on that day, and the messengers have been sent and the books have been revealed and the hujjah have been severed, the evidences and the excuses have been severed. That means the matter has been made clear, so the disbelievers are in the hellfire and the believers are in Jannah. So this is here يومهم بارزون, on the day when they will be بارزون, أي he says ظاهرون على الأرض. ظاهرون على الأرض, that means they're apparent on the earth or on the ground of the day of judgment. بارزون, al-buruz is when something sticks out, when something is not hidden, the opposite of what's the meaning of something hidden. No one can be hidden on that day. Everyone is like one person. ما خلقكم ولا بعثكم إلا كنفس واحدة, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that your creation nor your ba'th, your resurrection, except that it's like one nafs. All of that is like one soul. One soul in the shows the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also that all of the people, everyone in the day of judgment, if someone speak, everyone hears. If they're addressed, everyone hears. No one has issues of not hearing because it's too crowded or it's too loud or these types of things in this life. So they're all as if they are one soul, meaning in the all of the things are mentioned in the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with matters of unseen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best how, but this is the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and also barizun, before we continue with what he said, it refers to, as the ulama, they say, al-wuduh, or what something very clear, al-zawahir wal-bawatan. Everything sticks out. Everything is clear. Their physical being and their inward actions. Everything is going to be exposed. What used to be hidden in this life, it's not hidden in the day of judgment. يوم تبلى السرائر, when the secrets will be tested, will be tried, will be clear. أي ظاهرون على الأرض وقد اجتمعوا في صعيد واحد. They all gathered in one place. لا عوج ولا أمت فيه, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. Nothing bent, nothing hidden from it. يسمعهم الداعي وينفذهم البصر. This is here. يسمعهم الداعي. الداعي, there's a caller, he will make all of them hear. وينفذهم البصر, if someone sees them, he can see all of them. Everyone is able to see everything. فبصرك اليوم حديد وينفذهم البصر يوم هم بارزون لا يخفى على الله منهم شيء. Nothing is hidden from them, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا من ذواتهم, not their الذوات, that is the being, not their beings, ولا من أعمالهم, nor their actions, ولا من جزاء تلك الأعمال, and also the recompense or the rewards of their actions. So, and that's why people come in the Day of Judgment with their amal in the Day of Judgment. And there are many hadith that speaks about this. Sharibul Khamr, the one that dies when in the state of drinking wine, that means he did not repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from drinking intoxications. He comes with the glass of wine in his hand. The thief comes in the Day of Judgment with what he stole, carrying it on his back, like this. So the people and their amal, the people and their actions, everything is present and nothing is hidden from them. لمن الملك اليوم? To who is the mulk and the sovereignty today? أي من هو المالك لذلك اليوم العظيم الجامع للأولين والآخرين. This is a question here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it was said to ask, and also for everyone to see and to reflect. To who is the mulk today? To who is the sovereignty today? أي من هو المالك لهذا اليوم العظيم الجامع للأولين والآخرين, the day that assembles everyone, the first and the last. أهل السماوات وأهل الأرض, the creation of Allah in the heavens and in the earth. الذي انقطعت فيه الشركة في الملك وتقطعت الأسباب. انقطعت فيه الشركة. الشركة is the partnership. انقطعت is severed, does not exist because it never existed. So there's no sharika, there's no sharik in the mulk, in the sovereignty. وتقطعت الأسباب, and all of the asbab, the means that used to be between people that would help each other in this life, someone of status, his father is this, his uncle is whatever, all of that is not there anymore. Not even righteousness or wickedness or wealth or anything, not even righteousness. No one will help another except their own actions. وتقطعت الأسباب ولم يبقى إلا الأعمال الصالحة أو السيئة. And what's left is only the good deeds versus the bad deeds. الملك لله الواحد القهار. So لمن الملك اليوم؟ لله الواحد القهار. This is the answer. And the answer لله, that means الملك لله. And this is how many things in the question, the obvious get removed because this is what is clearly stated. So the mulk, the sovereignty, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, الواحد القهار, the only one, the irresistible. أي منفرد في ذاته وأسمائه وصفاته وأفعاله. The only one in his being and names and attributes and actions. فلا شريك له في شيء منها بوجه من الوجوه. He has no partners in any of this. القهار لجميع المخلوقات. All the مخلوقات under the power of Allah, they cannot resist that. They cannot push that away. الذي دانت له المخلوقات. دانت, that means from الديانة, that means they're subjected under the power of Allah. وذلت وخضعت, humiliated, humbled. خصوصا في ذلك اليوم, especially in this day, الذي عانت فيه الوجوه الحي القيوم, all the faces are in state of humbleness to Allah. يومئذ لا تكلم نفس إلا بإذنه. These are all places in the Quran that talks about this. The day when no one would even speak without the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's like Malik Yawmiddin. He's the Malik of everything subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Yawmiddin specifically is mentioned to address those ignorant in this life that they thought that they have a say in this life. And the same thing in this life, they don't have a say. No one has sovereignty in this life in the absolute sense. No one has power in the absolute sense, and wealth and so on, meaning it's all by the permission of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permitted it in this life versus the hereafter. The hereafter, the permission is no one is even able to speak. No one does have any amal to do because now they are in Dar al-Jaza, the place of recompense. In this life, also nobody does anything except by the permission of Allah. He has the sovereignty of the heavens and the earth in this dunya and the hereafter. So the ignorant ones, those who think that they can do things and no one is putting them in account and punishing them, It's because that's the permission of Allah. This is the nature of this life. They act under the sovereignty of Allah. And He's the Qahar also, subhanahu wa ta'ala, that whatever they do is because of this is the amal versus the recompense or the rewards or punishment of their actions. So to pay attention to this, that this is not just in the day of judgment, that He is Al-Wahid, Al-Qahar, Al-Malik. Of course, this is in this dunya and the hereafter. But you see the differences, and that's the power of Allah. اليوم تجزى كل نفس بما كسبت لا ظلم اليوم إن الله سريع الحساب. Today, that day, every soul will be recompensed for what it earned. No injustice today. Indeed, Allah is swift in account. So, اليوم تجزى. So this is also connected to one after the other. So اليوم تجزى كل نفس. تجزى, that means it's going to be recompense from الجزاء, and it's the passive tense because it's all by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one will judge themselves or people judging each other. None of that. Everything is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just. So this is what comfort the hearts of the believers. That in this life, why there is problems in this life? Because of the lack of justice. Because when the human beings, they are dhaloom, they are unjust by nature. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the day of judgment, He is the most just subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the mulk is to Him. So اليوم تجزى كل نفس بما كسبت, with what it earned. And بما, the meme alif is من صيغ العموم, right? From all other things. Gives the general meaning of everything that they earned. في الدنيا من خير وشر قليل وكثير. This is how the umum, everything in the dunya from good or evil, small or much, everything will be judged. لا ظلم اليوم. There is no ظلم اليوم. There is no injustice on that day. على أحد, on anyone. بزيادة في سيئاته أو نقص من حسناته. No one will be given more in their sins and bad deeds, and no one will be taken less from their good deeds. Everything is by the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the hadith of Abi Dharr radiyallahu anhu, يا عبادي إني حرمت الظلم على نفسي وجعلته بينكم محرما فلا تظالموا. O my ibad, I made the dhulm forbidden on me, and I make it forbidden on you, so do not injust one another. Have injustice towards one another. And in that statement of Al-Hadith Al-Qudsi also explains it. When people is question that, the ignorant ones or those who have the lack of knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, they would say how the dhulm can be allowed on the face of earth, questioning the actions of Allah, questioning wal-'adhu billah, the justice of Allah. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the dhulm, injustice and oppression, muharram, haram among the people. And He sent the messengers and revealed the books. And He told them that in the day of judgment, they will return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and people will be either punished or rewarded. So the dhulm is muharram on Allah. No dhulm from the actions of Allah. They are just given this time to act, and then everyone shall return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So no way whatsoever any dhulm would prevail. Everyone will be brought to the justice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to their actions. So لا ظلم اليوم إن الله سريع الحساب. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala سريع, swift in punishment. أي لا تستبطئ ذلك اليوم. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this is the hisab, the reckoning is very swift, very fast, meaning it's coming very fast. لا تستبطئ. الاستبطاء, we talked about it before. البطء is when something is being slow. Someone بطيء, someone is slow. تستبطئ, الاستبطاء, every time you put an alif, sin, ta before the verb, that means your act of this. So istibta', that means you're making, or you're thinking that the matter is very slow. When people are in haste. So when people are in haste, that means they are yastabti'u, the state that they're in. They see the situation, they see their status of oppression, whatever, they want it fast. They want it for this to change immediately. So yastabti'u nasr. They thinking that the nasr and the help and the victory is becoming delayed. Why is it not happening? They wanted it now. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned also about the prophets of Allah and the followers of the prophets of Allah, when they invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for victory and help, زلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب. They say when is the victory from Allah, when is the help from Allah. Indeed the victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very near. So إن الله سريع الحساب أي لا تستبطئوا ذلك اليوم. Do not be in haste to think that it's late. فإنه آت, it's coming. وكل آت قريب. This is a rule. Anything that is coming is قريب, is near. So when people are living 70, 80, 90 years, this is nothing compared to, and hereafter there is an everlasting one. So the moment of death is coming, the day of judgment is coming. Even if it's thousands of years, it's coming. وَكُلُّ آتٍ قَرِيب. So this is a rule that never fails. Anything that is coming is near. And this makes so much wisdom in the life of those who understand this very well. وهو أيضا سريع المحاسبة لعباده يوم القيامة. So إن الله سريع الحساب has two meanings. The first meaning, the matter is coming very fast because it's coming, so that means it's near. The other meaning, وهو أيضا سريع المحاسبة. The muhasabah, the reckoning in the day of judgment is very swift. Right? It doesn't take much as people might think. لعباده يوم القيامة. It's not because of the lack of means that the people, how many billions of human beings on the face of earth, so one by one, so if you put that to any court in this human life, it's going to take forever. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing is the like of Allah. The fact that the day of judgment is 50,000 years long is not because of it takes time, so people need to be patient because we have limited resources. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Of course not. Nothing is the like of Allah. But this is all part of the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So سريع المحاسبة لإحاطة علمه وكمال قدرته. Because the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, and His qudra and His power is the most perfect. So this is how the haqq is, and you put these verses together, then everything will be explained. That's why the matter is very clear. In the Quran, there's no hidden things, there's no ambiguity whatsoever. Everything is clear, the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He said in the ayah, هذا بيان للناس هذا بيان الناس وهدى وموعظة للمتقين. This is bayan للناس. What is bayan? You know, when a king has a decision made, this is now instructions, this is the matter becomes clear to the people. The ayah was mentioned about قد خلت من قبلكم سنن فسيروا في الأرض فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة المكذبين. That the sunan of Allah had, the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made very clear for the nations before. So سيروا في الأرض, travel in the land and see what's the outcome of those who deny the truth. هذا بيان للناس. That means don't be ignorant about the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the face of earth. It's very clear. So those who do evil, those who deny the truth, those who do all kinds of bad things, you know, this is the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. Look at the end of their affairs. Because this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the heavens and the earth for, and He's the most wise, and He subhanahu wa ta'ala the most just. اليوم تجزى كل نفس بما كسبت لا ظلم اليوم. No dhulm whatsoever on that day. إن الله سريع الحساب. And as we heard how at the end of Surah Az-Zumar, the matter when it's established, the angels, the disbelievers, the believers, they would all say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, meaning that they would acknowledge the amazing and the perfect justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the ayah وَأَنذِرْهُمْ يَوْمَ الْآزِفَةِ إِذِ الْقُلُوبُ لَدَى الْحَنَاجِرِ كَاظِمِينَ مَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ مِنْ حَمِيمٍ وَلَا شَفِيعٍ يُطَاعٍ. Ayat that really describes the day of judgment and the affairs of everyone in such a way there is also no like of it whatsoever if we reflect upon the meanings of it. If we can take just one, even one is very heavy and so many different meanings to it, but this one, ayah number 18, and warn them, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of the approaching day when hearts are at their throats, filled with distress. For the wrongdoers there will be no devoted friend and no intercessor who is obeyed. So وَأَنذِرْهُمْ, and warn them. يوم الآزفة. This is one of the days of judgment, is يوم الآزفة. والآزفة as أزفت الآزفة, like in Surah Al-Qamar, Al-Najm, أزفت الآزفة. From this is the الآزفة is like اسم فاعل, comes from أزفة. When they say أزف الأمر, when they say أزف الأمر, Arab would say أزف الأمر, that means the matter is done, is very near. That means it might be not even enough time for a person to do anything. You would say that for someone, for example, studying, supposed to study for his exam, he neglected the matter the whole year and the exam is tomorrow. And he says, I'm going to start now studying for the exam. أزف الأمر. The matter is very near. That means you might not have a chance. But of course, here it shows how the matter is very near. وأنذرهم يوم الآزفة. Based on what mentioned in the previous ayah, إن الله سريع الحساب. The reckoning is very fast. So وأنذرهم يوم الآزفة. يوم القيامة التي قد أزفت وقربت. Very near. And as the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام said, أقرب إلى أحدكم من شراك نعل. It's closer to one of you than his own shoes. The Jannah, and the same thing as the hellfire. So when a person reflecting, thinking about these meanings, then we would see how ghafla, forgetfulness we are in this life. How much ignorance that we are in this life having when the matter is as near as it seems, as it shows, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. He's the creator of the heavens and the earth, and the matter doesn't require too much convincing. You know, those who are alive and they passed away, life becomes to them like as if it's a dream and they woke up. 1 hour. This is even, you don't have to wait for the moment of death. Think of your entire life as if it was just 1 hour. So التي قد أزفت وقربت وأن الوصول إلى أهوالها وقلاقلها وآن الوصول وآن الوصول. آن with a madda here, that means the time is very near to reach. The time to reach to its ahwal, the horrors of the day of judgment, qalaqiliha, the things that makes the person distressed, wazalaziliha, and the thing that shakes, is very near. وأنذرهم يوم الأزف. And every name is meant because it has a meaning that is part of the characteristics of the day of judgment. As يوم التلاق. Yesterday we talked about يوم التلاق, the day of meeting. Everything will be met. Every person will meet those who before him and those who after him. Adam alayhi salam will meet the last person of his lineage, of his offsprings, and people will meet their actions, and they will meet Ahl al-Samawat, will meet Ahl al-Ard, and they will meet their Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the names of the day of judgment, one of the things to reflect upon when we're reciting the Quran, because it gives more of the characteristics of the day of judgment. وأنذرهم يوم الآزفة. Now, إذ القلوب لدى الحناجر كاظمين. إذ refers to the time. So as if like you're saying in the day. So إذ القلوب لدى الحناجر. The hearts are by the throats. القلوب إذ القلوب لدى الحناجر. لدى, that means it's there. It's by the throats. أي قد ارتفعت. As if it's elevated. وبقيت أفئدتهم هواء. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned also how the disbelievers, the wrongdoers, وَأَفْئِدَتُهُمْ هَوَاء. Their heart is hawa. It's not in its place. It's like when someone in his life is in extreme fear, he feels the pounding of his heart as if his heart is in his throat. And this is mentioned in Surah Al-Ahzab of how the fear the people they felt from Al-Ahzab. وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرِ وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ. Your hearts reached your throats. And this shows the expression of the heavy fear that they're in. So, إِذِ الْقُلُوبُ لَدَى الْحَنَاجِرِ. When the hearts is by the hanajir, by the throat, قَدْ ارْتَفَعَتْ وَبَقِيَتْ أَفْئِدَتُهُمْ هَوَاء. And the hearts becomes like this. وَوَصَلَتِ الْقُلُوبُ مِنَ الرَّوْعِ وَالْكَرْبِ إِلَى الْحَنَاجِرِ شَاخِصَةً أَبْصَارُهُم. And the hearts from الرَّوْع, the extreme fear, and the distress, the karb, reach to the throats. شاخصة أبصارهم. Their eyes are fixed, staring out of horror to what they're being led to. كاظمين إذ القلوب لدى الحناجر كاظمين. الكظم is when someone is suppressing something. والكاظمين الغيظ, those who suppress their angers. So also كاظم is one of the, it's اسم فاعل from كظم. And when you imprison something, he is imprisoning his feelings. As they say, احتبس نفسه, نفسه. That means he makes himself, in control. So كاظمين لا يتكلمون. They don't speak إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا. except for the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permit for him to speak, and he would say what is right. وَكَاظِمِينَ عَلَى مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ. So كاظمين, they don't speak, and also كاظمين على ما في قلوبهم, they are holding into what's in their hearts من الروع الشديد والمزعجات الهائلة. They cannot even express their horrors and their worries and their sadness and their grief. It's part of relief in this life when someone is in pain, that they would scream, for example. But in the day of judgment, with all of this, they're not even able to say anything or to do anything except for those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permit. So كاظمين to all of that. ما للظالمين من حميم ولا شفيع يطاع. الظالمين, there's none for them من حميم. ما للظالمين, there's none, no for the ظالمين من حميم. And الحميم is a قريب ولا صاحب. الحميم is the closest one, the one that is intimate, the one that has empathy and love and so on. So al-muhib, the one that loves you, the one al-mushfiq, the one that not just loving but also having the shafaqa. When a person has this feeling towards his children, he fears for them and he loves them. He fears any harm for them. So there's no hamim in the day of judgment. مَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ مِنْ حَمِيمٍ. Even the closest ones in this life, they don't have this anymore. يوم يفر المرء من أخيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه. The ones that used to have this closeness of relationship and empathy together and compassion, all of that, in the day of judgment, all of that is severed. Everyone is fleeing with his own self. He doesn't care if his mother or father or son or daughter would be in the hellfire as long as he's saved from the hellfire. This is how things are. مَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ, except for the believers. The believers, because of the great reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they would be by the will of Allah, like the shafa'a and the like of this. This is intercession by the permission of Allah. مَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ, that's why it says مَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ. الظالمين, the things that used to help them in this life, and they were wrongdoers and oppressors and did injustice, no hamim for them, ولا شفيع يطاع. No shafi', no intercessors. يطاع would be obeyed. لأن الشفعاء لا يشفعون في الظالم نفسي بالشرك. Because the shafa'a is established in the day of judgment. But the shafa'a, they would never be allowed, and they won't even intercede except by the permission of Allah. They won't do that for someone did shirk. Shirk is out of the shafa'a. There's no shafa'a for shirk. And the only one that would benefit from the shafa'a, and he's a mushrik, is the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, as the Prophet ﷺ, he said. But this shafa'a would not take him out of the hellfire. He will be the least of the people of the hellfire in punishment. That's it. Where two hot coals underneath his legs, his foot, that his brain will boil from it. So no shafa'a would get a person outside of the hellfire. لا يشفعون في الظالم نفسه بالشرك. ولو قدرت شفاعتهم, if a person would ever imagine their shafa'a, which is never going to happen, فالله تعالى لا يرضى شفاعتهم فلا يقبلها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not pleased with it, and he would never accept it. And as we said, that the shafa'a, man الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه. Who is the one that would intercede to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except by the permission of Allah? None. So they won't intercede to start with except by the permission of Allah. He gives subhanahu wa ta'ala the permission, and he only gives the permission to the one that he's pleased with, and to the ones that also that would benefit from the shafa'a that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. So they won't have a chance to intercede, nor that it's going to be accepted from them. So ما للظالمين من حميم ولا شفيع يطاع, that no one will accept them or obey them or listen to them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most high. So as Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, he says, and this is an important point here, that when the ayah says إِذِ الْقُلُوبُ لَدَى الْحَنَاجِرِ كَاظِمِينَ, when the hearts are by the throat. In this dunya, in this worldly life, if someone's heart physically becomes in their throats, they'll die, right? And it's mentioned in Surah Al-Ahzab about the fear of the believers to show how the intense fear that they were in when their hearts are pounding. But can we say the same thing in the Day of Judgment, which is unseen and ghaib to us? And someone says, since this is like that is used in the way that the style of speaking by the Arab, and there is majaz and things can mean things, but it's not really the physical meaning of it. So we can say the same thing in the day of judgment. The hearts will be in its place. Can someone says this? And they're just having so much fear as it's explained in the dunya. No one can say that. Right? Why? Because it's unseen. And the day of judgment is completely different. So when the ayah says, إِذِ الْقُلُوبُ وَلَدَى الْحَنَاجِرِ كَاظِمِينَ, Allah knows best how that's going to be. Never to think it's like this dunya, hearts are pounding. And that's why as Qatada says, and see how as-Salaf were very, very precise in these matters. وقفت القلوب في الحناجر من الخوف. The hearts would be stopped in the hanajir, in the throats from the fear. فلا تخرج ولا تعود إلى أماكنها. It's not coming out and it's not settled in its place. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We're not saying that this is going to be physically the heart will be in this place or that place or this place, but to leave the matter of the unseen. This is the rule. Anything that is in the hereafter, in the unseen, we understand the meaning of it and we say Allah knows best of how things will be. This is something that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And what matters is, again, the intense fear and the horrors that they would receive in the day of judgment. And this is all according to their actions. So the horrors of the day of judgment, those who are saved from it, those who would experience it, this is before even entering the Jannah or the hellfire. All of that is according to a'mal, according to their actions. Not that everybody will face the horrors of the day of judgment regardless. The day of judgment is terrifying. But the believers, according to the amal, some will have strong amal, some weak, and so on. Some people will be under the shade of Allah, so they're not going through any difficulties in the day of judgment. So everything, not just Jannah and now fire, also anything from the moment of death forward, it's all according to the amal of this life. Nothing but the a'mal. This is basically the provisions that a person takes with him to this long journey in the day of judgment before even the entering of the Jannah or the hellfire. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the hellfire and to make us among the people of Jannah. And these verses, as we heard, requires for the person to keep on reflecting upon them. And this is how when this is there, the easiest thing afterwards is the ahkam. Then the person wants to know what is the a'mal. What is the deeds to save a person from the hellfire? What are the things to stay away from? And this is how the matter becomes easy by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we'll stop here inshallah. And we continue inshallah ta'ala next time. The attendance code is barizun. The attendance code is barizun. طيب جزاكم الله خير. بارك الله فيكم. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.